everyone, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time joining, thank you. If you're a previous subscriber, a new subscriber, or you're coming from a video you have previously viewed on my channel, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be continuing on with the In the Hoop machine embroidery wallet pattern, or design, whichever you want to call it. So yesterday I took the day off because I had the people coming to measure my sewing room office so I can get my wood flooring done in my office. I'm actually going to be getting vinyl plank flooring in the office, so that way my floors will be a little bit nicer in here, and my carpet has been destroyed from a previous office chair that I owned, and it just kind of ruined the floor. And I decided that vinyl plank flooring would be better for in here for when I iron and use spray starch and things like that. I can just mop the floor up, anything like that. Okay, so instead of getting way off topic, we're going to go ahead and proceed with the wallet today. If you've been following along with this pattern, you will know that I had some issues with this. This was the first one that I made, my test project, and I was having all kinds of issues with this. I wasted a lot of fabric, a lot of stabilizer, and this was actually my first In the Hoop project. So it was a big learning experience for me, and I will have the link to the Etsy store that I purchased this from. And again, I do have permission from the seller to be sharing this pattern with everybody. And you will have to go to the Etsy store to purchase the design in order to get the stitch out. There's no way for me to be able to share those files with you online, because you do have to purchase the design files, unzip them, and then load them to a USB for your, or transfer wires wirelessly, Wi-Fi, to your embroidery machine. So you do have to purchase that pattern, that design. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be continuing on with file 3. And what we'll be doing today is we're going to be making the zipper pocket, and nice little zipper pocket. It's really nice and a sturdy pocket. So that's what we'll be doing today. It will be constructed in the hoop as well as all the other pieces have been. The first video we talked about our supplies that we need. Second file was constructing, or I'm sorry, the first video was supplies. Second video was making the inner portion half circle pieces. The third video will be file 2, where we are stitching out the main body of the wallet and then combining, adding the two semicircular pieces to it. And today will be file 3, doing the pocket. So the pocket is really easy to make. I have my instructions printed out, and I am going to set that part aside, set this aside, and I have already hooped my wash-away stabilizer. What I have found with constructing the test wallet, I found that using 2 layers of water-soluble stabilizer is what works best for me. If you want to watch that first video, it is called Being Overconfident Can Cause Mistakes. I thought I knew what I was doing in this project when I started it, and I was very wrong. It was a big learning experience for me. because the seller does include a video of her making this. It's just a short video, but there's no sound to it. So I thought I knew what I was doing, and I was way, way wrong. Okay, so I highly recommend that you read 2-3 steps ahead in your design or in the design instructions. That way you know exactly what you're doing, because I failed to do that and skipped some really important steps. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do, I am going to, I don't have it loaded into the machine yet, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and keep the camera above today, just to kind of save a little bit of time. Okay, I am bringing up the file over here in the machine off to the side, and that will be the beeping that you hear. And again, this is file number 3. When you download the design, after you purchase the design, there's 5 different files, and we're only going to be completing 4. The 5th file is if you want to switch up your pockets. You can do 2 zipper pockets and 1 of the card slot type pockets. So that's what file 5 will be. Okay, so let's see. Bring this up real quick. I'm trying to bring up my file 3. You can see my arm adjusted a little bit there. Okay, so when you bring up this file into the machine, this is what it's going to look like, just like this. So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to hit to begin stitching. It's going to tell me to attach the hoop to the machine. And again, I tell it almost all of my videos, when you're attaching your hoop to the arm, to the embroidery unit, hold your embroidery unit arm down. That way you're not flexing it either way, because I did have my machine, my embroidery unit on my machine broke. This little bracket that you can see right here, it controls the movement of the arm back here in a groove on the embroidery unit. The previous owner, we believe, was picking it up by the arm, and this was really, we think it bent it. And one day I plugged it into the machine, the embroidery unit into the machine, and when I calibrated it, this metal snapped. I was so upset. I only had my machine a little bit over a month, maybe less than a month. I can't remember the exact time. But machine safety for your embroidery unit's very important. So I always hold here when I'm attaching the frame, so my embroidery arm doesn't flex back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the stitch placement, and you'll be able to see it move over here off to the side. I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit. I will be right back. Okay, so we have it adjusted. Now you can see the embroidery frame, or the embroidery hoop, on the machine. I am going to go ahead and hit start. It will be stitching out my placement stitch. Actually, before we get a little too far, an important step that you will need to do if you haven't done it already, if you haven't read ahead in your directions, you're going to take 4 pieces of your 8x12 fabric, and I have those here. you're going to take 4 pieces and you are going to fold down 2 centimeters on the wrong side and iron. So this is my front side and then my wrong side, and I have all those folded down and pressed, and you're just going to do 4 pieces. So we have that. So go ahead, and if you haven't prepped those already, go ahead and prep those. I wanted to do that all ahead of time just to save a little bit of time. So I wasn't doing all that on camera. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stitch our placement stitches. And that is going to be color number 1. So I'm going to hold my thread tail and go ahead and I don't know why this is telling me to do that hoop. I do not want that hoop. We are using our 260 by 200. Okay, there we go. It was telling me to put a 150 by 150 hoop. I'm not sure why it did that, because when I did the first one, it didn't have me using a different hoop. At least I don't remember. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and okay, so if you remember correctly in the, I don't know if it was part 1 or part 2 or the file 1 or file 2, I was telling you about the different colors when you do have the design loaded into your machine. The different colors are just for our placement stitches and to where you're going to line things up when you're assembling. You don't have to use different colors. She does specify in the printed instructions, or if you're following along on your computer screen on the directions, where you can use one thread, one color of thread. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm going to go ahead and stop and trim that color, that. And this is just really quick, 1 minute. For those of you that are new to machine embroidery and to using water-soluble stabilizer, you'll have like all this scrap left over. You can save your water-soluble stabilizer and either melt it in water and use it as spray starch, or you can splice your pieces together, which is really cool. Okay, so, oops, I believe I did a video about that. I'm not sure. I'd have to look back. It's been a while. Okay, so we have our placement stitches. Now what you're going to do is you're going to remove your hoop. And make sure my thread is trimmed. You're going to align your zipper, and you want to make sure that you get your zipper aligned really well. That way it's nice and straight. And you're going to put the zipper so that the middle of the zipper match precisely with the line that you just stitched. So move that aside. And the way I did it was I held my zipper and then I just kind of folded the edges up a little bit like this so I could make sure that I'm getting it lined up well. And I just centered it on, you can see how I'm just centering it on that line. There's our stitch line, and you're just going to center it on there, make sure it's lined up. And tape it really well. And wouldn't you know it, my tape isn't wanting to really come off today. Okay, so again, make sure it's lined up really well. And I'm making sure, I'll show you in just a moment, I'm making sure I'm taping way over here on the edge, the ends of the zipper, because I want to make sure that I don't get any of the zipper ends caught in stitching. Oops, I just moved it from the other side. And I don't know if I'm straight now since I moved it. Probably not. You may have to play with it a little to make sure that you get it on there straight. And I'm just going to look a step ahead so I remember where it... Okay. So what it's going to do is you don't want to put any tape on this portion, on the side portions of the zipper, because that is where it's going to be stitching, is right on the edge of the zipper. And definitely want to make sure I'm getting it straight. You could probably use your spray stabilize or your quilt basting spray on this. If you're familiar with my previous videos on this project, you'll know that I had some issues with the stabilizer. So I am, or not the stabilizer, sorry, the quilt basting spray, and I'm having a hard time keeping this straight. My tape is not wanting to stick really well. So I think we're lined up okay. Okay. I'm going to just put another piece of tape on here to make sure that I know that we are attached down really well. And I'm sorry I'm doing this a little bit off frame. Okay, hopefully that'll work. Okay, so now what you're going to do, you're going to take it back to the machine and you're going to stitch color number 2. So we placed our zipper on the line and we taped it down, and you're going to stitch line number 2. Okay, and hold my thread tail and start my stitching. I'm going to stop it and cut my thread tail. Okay, so it's going to stop and then hop to the other side. Okay, so that is it for that portion. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your 4 parts of your interfacing fabric, which we folded our 2 centimeters down, and press the seams. And again, you're pressing the fold to the wrong side of the fabric. So let me switch a page. Now what you're going to do is you're going to place your lining right side up with the folded edge in line with the center zipper. You're going to fix with either glue or adhesive tape. So I'm going to go ahead and take back out of the frame or out off the machine so we can do that. And I'm going to go ahead and trim thread tails back here. Okay. And you're going to take your pieces, and hopefully you can see that right there. And that stitch line, we're going to place right on that stitch line. Okay. It says, place the lining right side up with the folded edge in line with the center of the zipper. Okay, so we're not placing it right on that line. We're going to put our fold even with the zipper. Okay, so I don't need this tape anymore. And if you're familiar with the previous video, I was using a glue stick to hold my fabric down. And that was working really well with this design, and I really did like that. So I'm going to just go ahead and place glue here on the side. And just do one side at a time. Put the zip, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to line it up with just the edge of the zipper. And push that down really well. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Okay, just like so. And I'm trying to get them so they're nice and even on both sides here. And I'm going to just push that down. Then you are going to stitch color 3. Okay, so this is where you, if you remember on the other one, we went ahead and attached the back side right away, but you're not going to do that in this portion. You're going to just attach the front, stitch the next color, and then we'll add the next part. So let's go ahead and add this back to the machine. Again, hold my thread and start stitching. I'll pause so I can trim my thread tail. So it's kind of doing like a lock stitch. If you notice how it stopped and then kind of moved a little bit, it did kind of like a lock stitch on the edge here. Okay. And the next side. This video is going to be really easy because we're almost all the way done. We're about probably 2/3 finished. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my thread. Remove the machine again. Now what you're going to do is you're going to flip your hoop back over, and we are going to Place the lining right side up with the folded edge in line with the center of the zipper. Fix it with glue or adhesive tape. So for this side, you will know that the middle line was where the center of the zipper would be. So again, I'm going to trim these little thread tails so we don't get caught up in anything. This is just the knots on the back. So that'll work. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and place them. It says place right side up again with the folded edge in line with the center of the zipper. And again, like so. Let's see if I'm lined up right there. You can always hold it up to the light so you can kind of see through for your placement. Let me go ahead and glue again. And you don't have to be right on with the edge. And I'm not going to push this really hard yet because I don't want to distort the stabilizer. Make sure we got enough in there. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of lightly press those down. Then when I fold it over, now I'm going to really make sure that I kind of like push down so that fabric really will bond with that glue. And they look pretty good. Just to be safe, I am going to go ahead and put a piece of tape along the edge, because since this is going to be the bottom writing on the machine, I want to make sure that they don't come off. So I'm just going to put a piece of tape there. I have learned that for me, masking tape has become one of my friends while doing embroidery, the machine embroidery. Okay, I'm just pushing down and make sure that tape is nice and attached. We're going to come back to the machine again and we're going to stitch our color. It will be stitch color 4. Okay, so this is where I'm going to tell you, read ahead of your directions. So before you stitch color number 4, go ahead and read ahead so you don't make the mistake of doing this next step in between stitch color 4 and 5. So once you stitch color number 4, you're going to stop and you're going to open your zipper halfway. Then we'll proceed on to the next color. Let's go ahead and do color number 4. Reattach to the machine. Hold my thread tail again and start stitching. And again, I will do my thread tail. I have learned it's really important to cut my thread tail because I have gotten it caught up in previous projects. I'm really picky about my neatness of my projects, as you should be if you're going to gift something. Okay. Actually, I think we're about halfway done. There's going to be a step here coming up that we need to. Okay, so now that was completion of color 4. And now what you want to do is, you can take your hoop off if you want to. But what we're going to do is we are going to open the zipper. And I'm going to go ahead and take off so you guys can see that. Okay, so I'm just going to open the zipper a little bit. And she says in her instructions to open it up at least by half. And that's what I've done there. So before we get to a next step, I'm going to make sure I have something that we're going to need. I am going to grab an additional sewing foot. And in my faff, I have my sewing feet all in a nice little tray. And I'm just going to grab my, where is it? My regular straight stitch sewing foot. And I'm going to set that aside. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and stitch color number 5. Put it back into the machine. And this is going to be a satin, or actually the zigzag stitch. This is, yes, I believe it is the zigzag stitch. But it is going to be a closer zigzag stitch. You can see there that it's pretty close together. It's not a satin stitch, but it's a close zigzag. Okay, so again, hold my thread tail. Stop again, cut that. And what it's also going to do is it is going to stitch over the edge of the zipper, and you'll see it in just a moment. This takes about 5 minutes. I'm going to just go ahead and let it do its thing, and you guys can watch that. Hopefully it's not shaking the camera too much. And now you can see it's doing the zigzag. When I was first constructing the test wallet, I had a lot of issues since it was my first time doing an in the hoop project. I was really kind of confused. Oh, stop. Okay, you might have saw that this was kind of like starting to fold a little bit. So I am going to just kind of put a piece of tape so that doesn't happen again. I don't want that to fold. So I'm going to just put it right there, and it's going to hold the side excess fabric down. I'm glad I caught that so it wouldn't have folded the the seam, this portion, while it's open, it won't fold, this little part right there. Don't need one that big. Okay, go ahead and continue. So you'll see that it's just going back and forth. It is just sewing just a little seam right here to basically tie off the ends of that zipper, because we are going to be cutting. Okay, and my machine also just ran out of bobbin thread. So I'm going to go ahead and pause to change my bobbin, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have went ahead and changed my bobbin. I'm going to go right back, hit my button to current stitching position. It takes me right back to where it alerted me that my bobbin was needing changed. So I'm going to hit OK. I am going to back up. I like to back up at least 10 stitches. That way I know 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That way I know I'm going back far enough. I probably do a little bit overkill. I probably just need to go back 2 or 3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start. Now it's going to do that portion as well. And I will show you that when we come back off, what I'm talking about that satin stitch that it did. One more minute to go. My allergies are driving me crazy today. Okay, so now it's going to do that satin stitch where it's going to lock off the edge of the zipper. And if you're familiar with sewing zippers, you'll understand why it does that. Okay, so now we are finished with the embroidery portion. So I'm going to go ahead and remove from the machine. And now what we're going to do, let me go ahead and trim the threads. And again, I like to make sure that all my threads are nicely trimmed. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and now you're going to remove it from the hoop, and it'll tell you remove from the hoop. You're going to cut off the excess fabric in all sides close to the stitch without cutting your thread. I'm going to do that off camera, and I will be right back.